Detroit Lions fans are upset at the news reporting of a particular NFL analyst who last week, after coming off the coattails of a nearly perfect game for the Detroit Lions, said that Jared Goff was nothing more than a civilian quarterback, comparing him to guys like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson. He called them the superheroes of the AFC and of the NFL, and said that Jared Goff, in comparison, is nothing but a civilian quarterback. And he's right. Jared Goff is a civilian quarterback. Jared Goff is not a superhero quarterback, but that's not a bad thing. Just because Jared Goff doesn't have the arm of Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, just because he doesn't have the speed of Lamar Jackson, doesn't make Jared Goff a lesser quarterback. It makes him a different quarterback. It makes him a less exciting quarterback, but not a worse quarterback. And that is what we're going to talk about today. Take a look at Jared Goff, what he's accomplished throughout his NFL career, what kind of quarterback he actually is, and why, even though the stereotype around him might be the system QB and the civilian quarterback, why that makes him one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and why those stereotypes are very misleading as to what they actually mean. So let's start off by taking a look at Jared Goff's path through the NFL. He was the number one overall pick in 2016. Spent 5 years with the Los Angeles Rams and the last 4 years with the Detroit Lions. After his time in LA, Jared Goff was traded. And I think a big reason as to why Jared Goff is always going to be looked at as a second-hand, second-tier quarterback is because of that trade. That trade from LA to Detroit ruined Jared Goff's reputation. He was painted as the quarterback that couldn't get it done, the quarterback that his team and Sean McVay gave up on. And he was painted as the bridge quarterback. He was painted as good enough for now, but never going to be elite. And that is not an easy reputation to shake, especially with a team that has been historically bad like the Detroit Lions. That is not an easy title to shake. And especially after a year one in Detroit that didn't go very well, it's almost impossible to change the narrative at this point. However, despite the narratives that go around about Jared Goff, he's been really successful in the NFL. He's passed for over 32,000 passing yards, 205 touchdowns, with a 75-51 record. He's a three-time Pro Bowler, and in just 2 seasons, 2 of his 9 NFL seasons, he has lost or had a losing season, had a losing record. That is his first year in LA and his first year in Detroit, in the time where the team didn't have a chance to build around him, where the team was essentially a dumpster fire, right? When he was drafted number 1 to the LA Rams, that team was not good, one of the worst teams in football. And then, of course, traded to the Detroit Lions, who at the time were coming off one of the worst stretches of their franchise in its history. They went 3-13-1. Those are the 2 losing seasons Jared Goff has on his career. The other 7 have been winning seasons, playoff football, and fantastic numbers. The controversy is with Nick Wright, who a couple of days ago, as I mentioned, called Jared Goff a civilian quarterback. He essentially discredited what the Detroit Lions have been able to do versus Jacksonville and Tennessee and Dallas, and says that, when they face good teams like Houston, they aren't as dominant. They aren't as good, and they look very, very beatable. And he basically said that they don't stand a chance against the AFC. They don't stand a chance versus Kansas City. They don't stand a chance against Buffalo or Baltimore. When comparing Jared Goff to Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, he simply doesn't stack up. And while that is true, right, if you were to put Josh Allen, Jared Goff, and Patrick Mahomes at a combine, Jared Goff would get blown out of the water. If you were to ask them to throw a football as far as they could, Jared Goff would get blown out of the water. If they asked Jared Goff to escape the pocket regularly, throw on the run like those guys, he would not stack up. But that's not how we should measure quarterbacks. Quarterback doesn't mean run the football. Quarterback doesn't mean who can throw the farthest. The best quarterbacks don't mean necessarily who's the biggest, the fastest, the strongest, the more athletic. Quarterback is about executing the offense, being smart about how you execute, doing it properly, and putting your team in a position to win. And when it comes to that, there is no better quarterback in the NFL than Jared Goff. Now, the system quarterback, I guess, mantra has been thrown around a lot. And it's not just Jared Goff. There's a lot of quarterbacks that get the system logo kind of painted on them. Jared Goff is probably the poster child for it, but Brock Purdy gets that a lot. There are a ton of quarterbacks across the NFL that are quote unquote system quarterbacks. System quarterback isn't a bad thing. System quarterback means your system is built for your quarterback to succeed and that they execute the offense properly. That is what a system quarterback is. And Jared Goff, as a system quarterback, ranks in the NFL ninth in passing yards per game, first in completion percentage, with the exception of Tua Tagovailoa, who's only played in 6 games, 21st in attempts, but 17th in completions. But despite not throwing the ball as often, he ranks fourth in touchdown passes and first, very top of the NFL in yards per pass attempt. Now, those are just a couple of base level statistics. If you go a little deeper, Jared Goff ranks sixth in yards per completion. He ranks first in the NFL in fourth quarter comebacks with 3 this season. He ranks second in the NFL in game winning drives, only behind Patrick Mahomes. And he ranks fifth in the NFL in on target passing percentage. While those numbers might be fantastic by themselves, they are not the only numbers that matter, because if you compare him to just quarterbacks in the NFC, right, taking out the AFC superheroes, Jared Goff ranks first in passer rating, first in yards per attempt, first in completion percentage, second in touchdowns, only behind Baker Mayfield, third in yards per completion, third in on target percentage. And even though quarterback record isn't really that great of a way to describe a quarterback's success, it is a way quarterbacks get graded. He has the best quarterback record in the NFC conference. So, yeah, Jared Goff is a civilian quarterback. Jared Goff, outside of structure, doesn't work very well. Jared Goff isn't going to run around, extend a play for 10 seconds, and find a wide open guy in a broken play. But Jared Goff, as a system quarterback, is putting up some pretty fantastic numbers. He's looking like easily the best quarterback in the conference. And that is because he is the best system quarterback. Again, system quarterback is not a bad thing. Being able to execute the offense is not even a common trait in the NFL. And Jared Goff is the best executing quarterback in the NFL on a play to play drive. If you want to compare Jared Goff's arm strength, his speed, his athleticism to other quarterbacks, he's not going to stack up. If you want to compare his arm strength to Josh Allen, to Justin Herbert, to Patrick Mahomes, he's never going to reach that height. If you want to compare his speed to Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray, he's never going to run faster than those guys. If you want to compare his athleticism to guys like Jalen Hurts and Anthony Richardson and some of the top tier athletes that have been placed at quarterback in the NFL, he's never going to compete. But if you look at accuracy, nobody in the NFL is more accurate than Jared Goff. If you look at execution, nobody in the NFL is executing an offense at as high a level as the Detroit Lions, as consistently as they do. And if you look at patience from a quarterback, poise from a quarterback, there are very few across the NFL that stack up to Jared Goff in that metric. So, yeah, while Jared Goff is not a flashy passer, he's not a player that is, ever going to necessarily win Offensive Player of the Week, even when he deserves it. Jared Goff is a fantastic QB. His play style is never going to win him awards, right? The superhero quarterbacks in the NFL, Josh Allen is Superman. Patrick Mahomes is another Superman, Wonder Woman, if you want to use a different hero. Lamar Jackson is the Flash, right? Super fast, super elusive. Those are the superhero quarterbacks Nick Wright is talking about. If you want to use the superhero analogy, Jared Goff is the closest thing to Batman that the NFL has to offer. Not a super powered arm, not super fast, not super athletic, but somebody that is maybe the smartest quarterback in football, maybe the best decision maker in football, the most accurate quarterback in football, and leading the most efficient offense in football. That is Jared Goff. That is the quarterback that he is. And the play style is not fun, right? The play style is not going to lead to MVPs. It's not going to lead to awards. It's not going to lead to recognition, but it will lead to the 1 seed. It will lead to playoff victories. And it will, hopefully, lead the Detroit Lions to their first championship since 1953. So with that being said, Jared Goff is a civilian quarterback. Jared Goff is a system quarterback. Those two things are not mutually exclusive, but they're also not bad things, right? We put stereotypes around quarterbacks all the time for playing in structure too well, for not being flashy and exciting enough, for only putting up good numbers because they have good weapons. Quarterback is the only position in the NFL where a player can be wrongfully hated on, I guess, right? It's the only position where somebody can be criticized for doing their job well, right? If a wide receiver catches the football and takes it 60 yards to the house, they get praised. Whether it was a Moss, whether it was a catch and run, whether it was a great route, whether there was separation, however the wide receiver wins, they're praised. If a running back breaks off a massive run, whether they broke three tackles and stiff armed their way into the end zone, or they had a massive hole open up and they were not touched, they get praised all the same. Quarterback is the only position that is criticized for non-flashy success, and Jared Goff isn't flashy, but he is maybe the best civilian quarterback in the NFL. He's going to lead the Detroit Lions to a lot more success in years to come. So, with that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments below your opinions on these comments, as well as what you think about Jared Goff as a quarterback. I'd be curious to hear your guys' opinions. With that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions.